Hey guys, it's RPG Gamer Girl. Make sure you turn on our email notifications so you can catch our latest live streams and videos. Thanks!
How you doing, guys? It's Andrew at Elite Gaming HQ. And in this video, we're going to build a Mini Itx $450 gaming computer. This video is going to be 3 parts. This part is going to talk about the parts that we ordered. The second part is going to be a little bit of a build time-lapse video. And the third part is going to be benchmarks. These videos will be coming out every couple days, so if you're interested, subscribe so you don't miss anything. Also, if you want to see some pictures of the build, go check out my Instagram, Elite Gaming HQ. There's a couple things we have to talk about first. Number 1, you could actually get this build to be a little bit cheaper if you didn't go with the Mini Itx. If you have a little more room and you want something bigger, then you can save some money. For us, we have a specific case, and we'll talk about that later, that Shannon uses for LAN parties and stuff like that. Next, this computer being a Mini Itx, can it compete with consoles? And I really feel like a computer like this really can give you that at the sofa comfort from a computer, along with gaming and multimedia and every other task that you would like to do. Now, as far as my girlfriend, she sits on the couch with a keyboard and mouse on her lap and plays OverWatch. But you could get Controller Companion, which uses your analog as like a mouse, and it's one click away to bring up letters for typing. Well, how does that compare to a console? Well, there's some plus or minuses. That's a whole nother video, but one thing I will say is when you look at the power of a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 4 Pro, and they have a 4-core or 8-core Jaguar processor, the Intel i3 6100, or the AMD 6300 would spank that thing. And rightfully so. For the console, it doesn't have to run other tasks like Windows and antiviruses and all that. So enough about that, that's a whole nother video. Let's get into the build. Alright, so the first thing we gotta look at is the case, I would say, because we know our form factor, we just gotta be able to fit everything in it, and since we're talking about a console home theater type system, I suggest go with the Cougar QBX Mini Itx. You're probably looking at this thing like, really? You're going to have that on your entertainment center? First off, it's really small. And if you have room for your subwoofer for your surround sound, you definitely have room for this thing. In fact, you can put one on each side, kind of even out the flow, right? In Shannon's case, we use a discontinued case that you can't get anymore, that she travels back and forth with. Put a picture here, and for more pictures of it when we're building it, it'll be on the Instagram. Well, this is a good alternative because this case allows you to have a huge graphics card if you want, and a full ATX power supply, all in the little case. Alright, so as far as processor, keep this budget down, and to keep this thing running nice and cool with hardly any watts, we're going to go with the Intel i3 6100. This is a great solid processor, as well as for this platform, it's 1151 socket, and we could just up it to an i5 or i7 down the road, or even if you wanted to blow the budget, you could do it right now. But this processor should handle everything you need. For the casual couch gamer, comes in with 4 threads, so it acts like a 4-core processor, and it only sucks up 51 watts. Alright, next for the motherboard, we went with the ASRock H110M ITX LGA 1151 motherboard. Now there's a little bit of a trade-off here. You can get the H110M ITX AC, or you can get the standard ITX. The difference between the AC is it has onboard Wi-Fi. Besides that, the boards are basically identical, so if you have hardwire down there, it's better to go that way, but if you do not, then you're going to pay a little bit more, like an extra $10 to get the AC. We found that on Newegg for $64.99. Alright, now our hard drive. So we're going to keep the budget low, so we're not going to do anything fancy with SSDs or anything. We're just going to go straight to the point with a Western Digital 1TB hard drive. Now I know the screen says that the hard drive is $53.99, but if you use the promo code that's provided right there, it actually knocks it down to $45.90 when you do mobile checkout. So that puts our total build so far to be $265.87. Next we have 2 RAM slots, but we're going to put in one 8GB stick of Ballistic Sport LT DDR4 2400 MHz. The nice thing is this computer supports DDR4, so we're going to utilize that. You might also be asking, why don't I get a dual kit? Well, the reasoning is we're going to get one RAM module now, and if we ever want to move up in the future, we could just add another one. Dual channel RAM is not going to make a significant difference when it comes to gaming or any of the processes that we're going to use this PC for, so there's no real point. It's better to go with a little bit of future proofing just so we can upgrade in the future if we decide that we want to. Now for the power supply. And this is kind of a hard one because in a case like this, you kind of want to put in a modular power supply. But we're trying to conserve money, so if we were to go with modular or semi-modular, we would be looking at probably twice the price. So we're just going to find a means to tuck away these extra wires, and even with a modular case, like say you have one thing that needs Bolax, one thing that needs this, one thing that needs that, you end up ending with kind of the same result. So in this specific instance, I say go with the 80 plus EVGA 430 watt power supply. For this build, you're not even going to need that, but you can upgrade in the future if you ever want to run a heavy graphics card. These power supplies are really solid, and I build a lot of computers with them. We're not running anything crazy like an RX 480 or a GTX 1080, so we can get away with this just fine, and the quality is good. And there's a mail-in rebate for $20. Now, of course, I didn't take that in consideration when we're talking about our total price for a build, but it's something to keep in mind, because that actually knocks a little more extra money off the total overhead of the price. But me, I always just forget to mail them in, because I don't like free money, apparently. So that puts our build at $340.85. Now, last piece of puzzle is going to be your graphics card. This is arguably the most important part of your gaming computer, but I'm going to give you two options, so you have to hear me out here. The two options I'm going to give you are both cards that I was actually able to test myself. Not on this i3 rig, but I was able to test them, so I got a pretty good understanding of how they're going to go. But first things first, let me give you the weaker of the two. To keep this build at $450, we go with the Zotac GTX 1050 Mini. This is a great little card, barely uses any power. When we tested it before, we were able to lock in OverWatch at 60 frames per second in ultra settings. And some might argue, from your couch, you don't even need 60 frames per second in games. But that's what we shoot for as we are PC gamers. The further you are away, the less you can notice the difference. And you really can't see a difference in 30 frames per second, I don't think, when I'm 8 or 10 feet away from a monitor. But next we'll go with what I feel is the better choice. And that is the Gigabyte Radeon RX 460 WindForce, the overclock edition that comes in at 4 gigabytes of video memory. This card was amazing. I tested it against the 1050 Ti, which had a markup of about 20 to 30%, and if you want to check out that video, I'll put a link here. But this card performs really well. For its price, it's amazing. It also has another $30 mail-in rebate, so with this card you can actually get it for $89.99, though it does put our total price at $460.84. If you add in the two rebates, we're around $410, $411. That's really awesome. So that is the build we are going to do next. I suspect Wednesday or Thursday we'll have a little build video up, and this weekend coming up we'll have the benchmarks. So we'll be able to see how good this computer can do and the titles that you guys might want to play. Also, for pictures of the build, once again, check out the Instagram. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, then go ahead and give it a thumbs down. But if you do happen to like it, share it with your friends. Just hit the share button and turn the notifications on. It helps us out a lot. So thanks for supporting my channel, guys. This is Andrew at Elite Gaming HQ. Thanks, guys.